Hello, everybody, this is Tim here again. Another movie review, this time for Teriffier 3. They might as well have called this one Teriffier, aka Jingle Bells, or Teriffier Takes Christmas, or some shit. As far as the Teriffier series goes, I reviewed the other two. I was not a fan of the first film. For 1 to 4 stars, I believe I gave it like a 1.5. I'm trying to see how the lighting looks back there, if I should block it out with my head or not. But I guess I'll just leave it. It does help illuminate my face a little. But if you're new to this channel, I review movies from 1 to 4 stars. I just figured I would do this one honestly just here in my bathroom just to get it over with quick and easy, because I honestly just finished the flick. And just, yeah, but like I said, from 1 to 4 stars, I also I give the first one like a 1.5. I did not like it. Watching it again, I'd still give it a 1 and well, actually, I'd probably give it even lower. Watching it again, I think I'd give it like a 1 star. I believe I gave it like a 1.5 last time. Watching it again, because I marathoned the other two before this one, I'd give it like probably like 1 star. It still sucks. I know these films have an underground following, and I do appreciate and commend the director for building up this as a franchise. He does deserve commemoration for that, and an applause for that, because it is hard work to build like an underground following like this and to get more and more mainstream. But that is one thing: the more mainstream this series gets, is the more money that'll be thrown at it. The more money that's thrown at it, is the more corporate's going to get involved. And the more corporate gets involved, is the more sanitized this product will become. But yeah, as far as this first one goes, didn't like it. There's virtually no story, which sometimes can work for a slasher film, and these are slasher films, because the original Halloween, they ain't got much of a story. Michael Myers is just a crazy guy who escapes one night and goes after Jamie Lee Curtis randomly. So not having much of a story can work if you got good mood and tension, but really the only thing memorable in the first Terrifier film is Art the Clown. That's it. Like, the guy who plays the clown, I believe his name is like David Howard Thornton, maybe. He does good. He's like the only thing memorable in that. The acting from the victims is bad, and their characters are just not memorable. The second film, I also remember disliking. I think I remember maybe giving it like a 1.5 or something like that. I can't remember. The second one, watching it now, it's still not a good movie, but it is an improvement over the first film. I would give it like a low 2 stars. It'd be like a passable one-off watch, something I would never really watch again unless I was marathoning these films. But it's passable. It's over long. The movie's like 2 hours, which is too long for a slasher flick. It is. The chick who plays like the main character, I believe your character's name might be Sienna, I could be wrong, who wears like the angel wings or whatever, who has like this magic sword, who ends up like cutting Art's head off by the end. She keeps having like these nightmares where she's on like this clown show or whatever, kind of like a game show or something. Like, or like one of them old timey like Mr. Rogers Neighborhood type shows. And Art the Clown is always there like, sorry about that, I lost the hold of my camera that I hair in my mouth. But Art the Clown is there like blowtorching the kids and shit. Yeah. It's somewhat entertaining. It has a better lead here. This chick who's the main character, I believe her real name is like Laura Laverne or whatever. She's attractive. She has a nice looking butt in the movie in terms of her pants she's wearing, and her nose ring or whatever, septum ring, adds to her hotness a little. But and her acting goes from like okay to like good by the end to like fine for this type of slasher flick. The kills, like I said, one kill in particular, there's torture of this like random chick who's her friend or whatever, where he like cuts her up into pieces and starts like putting salt on her. He goes on like so long, to the point to where the chick's like still alive, to where it'd be impossible for her to still be alive, to the point where I just had to laugh at it. And I believe I said that even before. At the end, he gets his head chopped off. There's like this little girl clown who's never explained who the hell she is. You get to the third film. Once again, they're trying to have more story. What the director's doing is he's trying to build little amounts of story with each new sequel, starting from 2 on. That way he can keep hooking the audience to keep them coming back to want to know what the hell's going on. But really, it's still paper thin. There's just like little glimpses of story, like the main chick from the last one, who's like going through like PTSD or whatever, and imagining like her dead blonde friend like talking to her saying pass the fucking rice, which is kind of funny. Good gore effects in terms of the way the victims look and everything, and for some of the kills, I will say every now and then some of the practical effects still look kind of hokey and B-movie-ish, but these are B-movies and they're low budget, and you can tell. But for what they are, the gore effects still look great. There's an awesome kill in a shower where this couple or whatever gets like chainsawed up. The guy who like plays her brother, who is more important in the last film, here he basically just makes a cameo. They kind of insinuate that maybe Art the Clown might have killed him off screen, but I don't really buy that. I think that he isn't dead, that they're just trying to trick him to make her think that he is dead, but really he just didn't get him, that he left, and that he'll probably become more important in the next film when they get to it. And yes, this leaves open for our next one, and she's staying with like some of her relatives, I believe, and they got a little daughter. And once again, this movie's like 2 hours. It is over long. This movie is the best of the three, though, because it's more hokey, so it embraces the inherent and just like silly dumbness of these films. Art the Clown, once again, the actor does a good job. My problem with these films is what they're really trying to be is just typical 80s slasher, like schlock films. That's what they're trying to be, and they're hoping you'll just accept them as that and just have fun with them because of that. But the difference is those films were made in the 80s. They had a campy charm to them. The kills weren't like over the top, long, drawn out torture porn like they are in these films. That's the problem with these films is I like gore. I'm a gore hound, but you can overdo gore. Like if every single kill is turned up to 11, it starts to lose its effectiveness, and that becomes like basically all these films are about. The only reason to see these films is to go watch them for the gore. They're just gore reels. There's nothing else here. The main character, the female, her acting, I will say, I think is a little more solid this time. She's better here, I think. She's not great, but she's good. The rest of the cast, they range from like bad to like serviceable. The couple that gets killed in the shower or whatever, I believe they're like college friends with her brother. They're forgettable. Their kill though is the highlight of the movie in terms of the chainsaw, and like he like puts it up the dude's ass, which that was pretty funny. Like that's another thing I'm saying is this one takes place on Christmas, so you get Art going around dressed up as Santa Claus, like killing a random family, and he gives these kids a bunch of presents, and one of them opens up and it's a bomb, and it blows all the kids up, which was pretty funny. And like the mom's like body is laying there with her face like melted off. Like these films try to deliberately offend. They're hoping that you will be grossed out and walk out, and then the director's like, yes, it's a win. But if you're someone like me who's seen like a trillion horror films or a trillion movies in general, you're jaded. You can't be shocked by this type of stuff, and it's just so over the top, mean spirited that it just becomes laughably ridiculous. So the only thing you can really do is just laugh at it and with it. That's really it, because it's just so hokey, because it becomes just like so sadistically ridiculous that all you can do is laugh. And that's what these films are, and especially by this point. And that's why I would give this one 2 out of 4. This is an okay time killer movie. It's okay. This is the best of the three easily, because it embraces more of just like the inherent silliness of it. But like I said, the difference with these movies as compared to like the 80s ones is the kills go on too long, some of them, so they just start to become like torture porn. So it makes these movies more like torture porn slashers instead of just straight up slashers like the Freddy and Jason and Michael Myers movies was. So part of that fun charm is gone. So they're just kind of B-movie schlock torture porn slashers, which torture porn is not really my thing. I'm not the biggest fan of Saw. Like when you just torture somebody for excessive amounts of time, it just starts to lose its effectiveness, and I just get kind of bored. Like if all you start to have is shock value, that's just not enough for me as a viewer, because I've seen everything. You can't shock me anymore. I'm too old and too jaded for that. So you have to have more. So there's nothing there in terms of what's going on. In terms of the story, you get like barely a glimpse at the fact that the main character has like PTSD. That's about it. And then by that, you get some glimpses of the fact that her dad was like drawing a costume for her, like the costume that she wore in the last one, that he was maybe like an illustrator or a comic book artist or some shit, and he's like having visions of what's going to happen to her in the future. Never really get an explanation why. I don't remember one anyway. So once again, just more scraps thrown in there to hint at something in the future. And I do appreciate the fact they are trying to give somewhat more story, but at the same time, it is still extremely paper thin, and it's just basically scattered throughout the movie to get you to the next gore scene. There's still really not much of any story here, just like the second one. They're just sprinkles. But at the same time, like I said, this is the most fun because it embraces more of the inherent silly factor of the series, with the character going around dressed up in a Santa Claus outfit, killing people. It gave me more of just like a silly, schlocky laugh, so I had more fun with this one. By the end, the girl who was in the first movie, who ended up getting her face like eaten off by Art or whatever, she's something crazy now and working with him. Why? No explanation. Art kills somebody, his body does, and like takes their head and somehow gets like the chick from the first one who had the deformed face, like gives birth to his head somehow, and he takes that and replaces his head. It's not explained. It's just he's just back. So once again, like I'm saying, there's no story here. It's paper thin little scraps of story. They don't even care if it makes sense how he comes back at all. So he's back. He's killing people again. Like I said, it gets to the end. She takes him out with a sword and everything. And the death of like the relatives or whatever, the mom and dad, they're just basically non-characters, and the dad's just like killed off screen, and Art just randomly shows up at the end at the house, and it just goes into the third act just straight into it, which it's like, well, what was the point of all this other shit? You could have gotten here like way sooner. This movie did not need to be 2 hours at all, and neither did the last one. But yeah, it gets to the climax. She chops the chick's head off, I believe, with the magic sword from the last movie. Why it's magic, no explanation. She stabs Art with it, but then his portal to hell like opens up on the ground, and the little girl who's like the daughter of the couple she's staying with, who I believe are her relatives. She like falls down in it, even though she had time to get off of it when she saw the spot like melting or whatever. She just sits there like, duh. She falls down in the hole, and it's like a portal to another dimension, probably hell, I assume. And so you get the idea that maybe the main like female or whatever is going to go to like try to rescue her, and Art basically gets away. He runs off like a bitch, and you get another scene, this little funny scene where he's like getting picked up or whatever on a bus, and he's on there, and he's just sitting there like with a frozen look on his face with his sack, and then the chick like sitting over on the other seat like looks over at him, and all at once he raises up at her and starts smiling, and he honks his little horn, toot toot, and then it just goes off. I think there may have even been a bonus scene, I'm not for sure, where the main chick like jumps down into the portal to go try to find the girl, and basically I assume that's what the setup for the next one's going to be. So they're probably hoping that this one will do well enough, since there's a following now, that they can have more of a budget for the next one to do some kind of low budget version of Hell, which they probably will, since this one did do well in terms of an unrated release at the box office. And I'm glad these films are unrated. I'm glad that they're trying to bring some balls back to the slasher genre or whatever, but at the same time, there's not enough tits in these movies. I believe we got a little bit in the first one, when the chick was like sawed in half. Here, you get the couple in the shower who's doing it or whatever, but they deliberately like hide the chick's tits, and then the couple still gets chainsawed. So it's like, we can be as gory as possible, but we can't really show that much tits. It's like, if you really want to be like one of those schlocky 80s slashers, you got to bring the boobs, guys. Come on. Yeah, overall this was okay. This is an okay time killer schlock slasher B flick. It's not good. It's not even a good schlock slasher B flick, but it's okay. I liked it for what it was. It's harmless. Would I watch it again? Probably not, unless I marathon these movies once they got to like Teriffier 7 or 8 or something. But for what this is the best of the three, because it's the most inherently ridiculous, with the whole killing on Christmas and Art dressed as Santa or whatever. So yeah, overall, it's watchable. If you're a fan of the franchise, you'll like it. As someone who doesn't like the franchise, I think it's okay. In my opinion, it's the best of the three. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.